Welcome to You Heard with Nerds. I'm Brett,
I'm Dorian.
and we got some nerd news for you guys today.
We sure do. So what we're going to be talking about is the Last of Us show. It cast it's Joel and Ellie. We're also going to be talking about Gina Carano and being fired from Lucasfilm, CD Projekt Red's cyber attack. But first things first, Joker's new look for the Snyder Cut has been revealed. So if you're watching the video version of this podcast, I will put up some pictures. Yep. So
I don't know, man. Like I do. Okay, it's a step up. I will say that it's a step up and away from the Suicide Squad Joker. For those of you who forgot, which y'all probably did or didn't see the movie, so
or you want to forget,
right? What we got in that movie was kind of like a gangster, as in modern day, like street gang. Tatted up, slick back hair.
Yeah, almost like a rapper.
No shirt. No shirt,
like
but wearing a
Little
jacket.
Wayne, Post Malone, or something like that. Yeah.
So basically, he had some tattoos on his face, like a bunch of face tats, and it said damaged on his head, and was wearing a grill. Like I think, he had he had the slick back Joker hair, which is pretty normal. Kind of we get a very different Joker, and this could be a Joker that's been in jail for a while. So
for those of you listening, I mean, the pictures seem to indicate that he is like in a jail cell of some kind. He doesn't have the tattoos anymore. His hair is actually long now, kind of a little more wild, kind of what I was expecting to get like when we first got Jared Leto as a Joker. I figured he would keep the long hair that he usually has and just kind of do that take, which I was kind of more interested in seeing. So we're kind of getting that now.
And it kind of more of a Heath Ledger makeup scenario.
Yeah, definitely looks
like a messy version of the Joker's face makeup. So
has some scars on him now too. So it's definitely Heath Ledger inspired for sure. I mean, just kind of more, not like overly, but subtle, I would say.
Yeah, very subtle.
But
it's fine.
I mean, for starters, can I just say I am so glad we are this close to putting this movie behind us here.
We talk about it every week, but it just keeps happening. And there's other stuff we could talk about, but
but
it'll be nice. It'll be nice.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad the tattoos are gone. He still looks like a McCulkin here, I mean, he looks like he could just be blending in with that family. Like, if you told me that was like one of the McCulkins, like playing the Joker, I would have totally believed you. Like,
Macaulay Culkin,
or any of them. They all kind of have that same look here. But I mean, if you told me it was Macaulay Culkin behind the makeup and the wig and all that, I would. Yeah, it looks like him.
Well, they're learning, Excuse me.
Yeah.
My voice is like. All right. Well, they're learning, and so is Tom Holland, apparently. I mean, but not really.
I mean,
has Tom Holland finally learned to keep a secret, ladies and gentlemen? The answer may surprise you.
Yeah, exactly. So he may have learned how to keep a secret, but he certainly does not know how to tell a lie. Let's just put it that way.
No. Yeah. So basically, he's so this is interesting because everyone knows that. I mean, for the most part, we haven't confirmed it yet, but
it's all but confirmed.
Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire are going to be in the new Spider-Man movie, and basically Tom Holland saying, basically, I know nothing about that.
They're
not going to be showing up.
Yeah. And here's his quote: "Unless they have hidden the most massive piece of information from me, which I think is too big of a secret for them to keep from me, but as of yet, no." When he was asked about whether or not the previous Spider-Man were going to be showing up. Now, that being said, Tom Holland, that's cute. I mean, it would be absolutely hilarious if they did that to him, knowing full well that he couldn't keep his mouth shut. Like he's doing like they have like stand-ins for, and he thinks it's like a different character or something like that.
That would be funny.
Like in the final part or the final final
Final
cut.
cut.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it actually has
they CGI them in, like they put them in different,
basically
like in the old school. Like I guess they could still do it now, but like I remember
like
back in
split
like the
screen
'90s,
and
they
all
did.
that.
Yeah, if you had the two people on the same screen, you could split screen it or whatever.
Right, exactly. That's
So
well. Not only that, but did you hear how they kept Tony Stark's death a secret from Tom Holland in
no,
Endgame?
no.
So like at the very end where they have that kind of memorial / funeral for Tony Stark, where they put the arc reactor
Oh
out on
yeah.
the lake. So Tom Holland in that scene, the Russos told him that was a wedding scene.
Oh yeah, I think I do remember that actually. That's funny.
Yeah. So Tom Holland could, as far as I know, could be in the dark completely
I would.
about all this. And yeah,
I'd put him in the
but
dark.
yeah, but honestly, I'm really surprised the folks that hire him allow him to talk to the press just in general here.
Yeah,
I
I think they probably don't. That's why he's saying what he's saying. But he has other movies coming out, so he's probably doing
yeah,
press for those.
right.
And then
Yeah,
of course they're gonna ask him. So what's going on with Spider-Man 3? I heard that Andrew Garfield's gonna be in it. And he's like,
yeah,
I don't know what you're talking about. Let's be
right,
honest. Tom Holland's a bad liar. And we all know they're gonna be in it.
right. I mean, again, all but confirmed. But no, I figured they would put Tom Holland on the Marshawn Lynch policy, saying like, if you say anything about this, we'll kill you.
Yeah, I'm just here so I won't get fined.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically.
All right.
So,
Well, yeah. So we'll see. Maybe they won't be in the movie, but I'd highly doubt it.
yeah.
Peacemaker has a premiere date, and this is before we even get a trailer for a movie that comes out in just a few months,
Right.
Which is January 2022 on HBO Max.
Yeah. I mean,
Once I see Suicide Squad, I'm gonna have a better idea of if I'm excited or not. I don't know about, I
yeah.
don't know about
I
it
mean,
yet.
no, I mean, I'm in the same boat with you here. I mean, this is cool, but I won't be excited until I actually see what his character is like in the upcoming movie.
Right. Sorry. All right, so Jack Black has been cast in Borderlands movie. We got news of Kevin Hart the other week. Jamie Lee Curtis is going to be playing Dr. Tannis.
Yeah.
And so Jack's going to be voicing Claptrap, which is makes sense, I guess.
Yeah.
Comic relief character in a movie full of comedians. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I've been loving what Jack Black has been doing. But honestly, I thought he was retiring after Jumanji 2. Like I thought he was.
Yeah, he said
done.
He said something about that. Roughly after that movie came out, basically said that he's taking a break at least for a while, but apparently that didn't last too long. So
yeah,
but I mean, it's
you can just do voiceover work from your house. I guess it's not a big deal because obviously,
right. And that's kind of what I was going to get to is like unless
he's a robot. So.
Right. Unless like they're bringing them in to do some mocap, which I don't know why you would because Claptrap is not.
They don't have the same build
at all. Well, I mean, kind of short and a little wide, but
That's
other than that, I mean that there's not much in terms of like build similarities here, but yeah. So so it might just be the fact that because he's being a voice actor, I think that could definitely have something to do with him coming out of retirement. It's less stunt work or less like, having to be on screen, blah, blah, blah. I'm just waiting for The Rock to get cast in this movie because I feel like at this point,
I bet you he will. It's Jumanji 3, basically.
Exactly. Which, I mean, that's supposed to come out at some point here, but because there is a guy from the first Borderlands. His name's Brick. He's kind of like a big muscle bound guy. And I'm like, of course The Rock has to play that guy. Either him or John Cena, one of the two. But
hey, they're both around. They're both in
around.
A lot of movies.
They're able and willing. So how about it?
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Last of Us. We got some leads this week on who are playing the leads, and that would be Pedro Pascal's playing Joel.
Yeah.
Okay pick, I guess.
It's okay.
And then Bella Ramsey's playing Ellie And if you guys know her from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, she was I think her name was Lyanna Mormont. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Like she was essentially the head of the Mormont house.
Yes.
She was a child. She fought in like a couple of the battles, like most notably the one with the White Walkers at Winterfell, like in season 8 and stuff. So
yeah.
But yeah, I loved her in Game of Thrones. She's a good actress. I'm interested to see how she plays Ellie in this. So, it'll be interesting.
She seems a little young, but I guess it's been a while since the show's been out too, and they probably
well, right, because the last time we saw her, she looked like probably she was like maybe about 10 years old or so, and that was filmed in 2018, I want to say. So
okay, so that's about right. Maybe 13. She'll be like
13, so she's roughly right around the right age here.
Okay.
So I think things will line up just fine here for the most part. Pedro Pascal, it's all right choice. I mean, I think they're mostly just kind of banking more on his like, most recent like found fame. I mean, being kind of cast in like Wonder Woman and The Mandalorian, just kind of riding his current star trip that he's on, or fame trip or whatever.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think my first choice would be Hugh Jackman, just because
he has the look and everything.
Well, right, exactly, because you look at Old Man Logan and you look at Joel, it's like, okay, yeah, they are like almost the same person, and it would be very, very typecasting, seeing how Hugh Jackman kind of already did this movie in a certain way here,
right,
going across like kind of a dystopian America with kind of like a daughter
girl.
figure, sidekick or something like that, and he's kind of like a worn and weary man. But man, I mean, I could not think of anybody more perfect to play Joel in that regard. But
yeah, this news literally just broke yesterday, and I've seen YouTube videos that are like 3 people I'd hire before Pedro Pascal for this role.
I mean, here's the thing. I mean, I think Pedro Pascal can pull it off. I mean, I think you just have to take like, what he brings to the Mandalorian, just kick it up a couple of notches here, because essentially it's kind of the Mandalorian and Joel from The Last of Us, they're kind of cut from the same cloth for the most part. So, I mean, I just think in terms of like the actual look of the character, I think you could have had other options out there personally. But
yeah, speaking of the Mandalorian, Cara Dune is no longer going to be in the Star Wars universe as of now.
Cancel culture strikes again.
No kidding. So after some backlash,
before we go forward, I just want to say something. So we're not a very political show. We'll say some political stuff every now and again. And here's the thing: if you listen or watch our show just for the entertainment part of it, you may, and you just want nothing to do with the whole political part of it, you may want to skip ahead, just because this is probably more likely than not going to get kind of political. So
yeah, because the posts are political themselves. So Gina Carano, who plays,
and the reasoning why she got fired,
right?
I mean,
and who plays Cara Dune, basically is pretty vocal on social media about where she stands on certain things, which is she's more of a conservative and supports Donald Trump. And so Disney has decided to part ways with her. And THR, who represents her, has kind of been looking for a reason to drop her ever since pretty much the coronavirus started up, and she was kind of an anti-masker. But so she's made some posts, about different pronouns and that culture, and she's been a vocal supporter of Donald Trump. And so back in November, there was some stuff that popped up, and just recently kind of resurfaced. But she made basically a post about, or she screenshot another post on Twitter, saying basically, comparing the political current climate to Nazi Germany, and that if you're a conservative, you're basically Jewish. Like kind of making that comparison.
So I actually have the actual post right here.
Yeah, down there. Here, yeah, I'll read it.
Yeah.
So it basically shows a bunch of some Nazis chasing down a Jewish woman, and it says Jews were beaten in the streets not by Nazi soldiers but by their neighbors, even by children. And then the quote is, because history is edited, most people today don't realize that to get to the point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is that any different from hating someone for their political views? Which, yeah, I mean,
so
maybe the post was taken out of context, but I think what she's saying is an accurate statement. Like, doesn't matter what side of the political spectrum you're on, you shouldn't hate a person just because they're conservative or liberal. There's nothing wrong with saying that or quoting someone with saying that, because we've seen that said, except even in a worse light, by someone like Pedro Pascal.
Yeah.
He equated, I think it was
children in cages to children in the Holocaust here, and he basically said that, oh yeah, this is like no different. I'm like, no, there's some difference.
It's pretty different. And then
there's some difference there, and not to mention that picture that he was flaunting or whatever.
Yeah, that was from the Obama administration.
Yeah, that was from 2010. So
yeah. So basically, according to reports, Disney wanted to fire her back in November, and the THR also wanted to drop her. But the good news, I guess, side of this is, number one, the Daily Wire picked her up to produce and basically star in a movie for the company, which it's probably more small scale, but it's sad because there's more social media posts. Like, dude, there's been so many with left wing, actors in Hollywood saying they want to kill Donald, like just the nastiest stuff to the president of the United States or the former president of the United States. And, that all went, nobody said anything about that. And this was, in my opinion, wasn't even something that was bad to say. It was just, hey, like, this is what I'm experiencing. Like, maybe a little in bad taste because, the Holocaust is a sensitive subject. But, I think the comparison and what she was trying to do was bring awareness to the fact that we're being desensitized and taught to hate the right, to hate certain beliefs and not and be intolerant of people who are different than other people. And that's kind of where, that's how things like that started. That's how Holocaust start. And you could even compare it to something like Rwanda between the Hutus and Tutsis. And that comparison's been made by other celebrities, and no one said anything. They compared to the storming Capitol Hill to
Crystal Knot.
Well, to Rwanda.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've seen comparisons to Crystal Knot.
I don't even know what that is.
That's the Night of Broken Glass, where essentially the German citizens, which the Nazi German government allowed it, basically allowed their citizens to essentially go after the Jews, essentially. Like that was kind of like the
straw that broke the camel's back.
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, to me, I understand both sides of this, with her getting fired or her being treated poorly based on what she said on social media. But it really makes me mad that there's certain people. There's this double standard in Hollywood right now.
Big time.
The woke mob strikes again, not because she got fired, but because that dual standard is 100% there, and we've seen it play out. Gina Carano got fired while Pedro Pascal got hired for this new show coming out, the new Last of Us show, and they've said very similar things. So, you can say offensive things as long as it fits in a box, and it's diminishing to one people group. And it should be the same for everyone. Like, even at my job, I work for a company where I can't say whatever I want to on social media, nor can I in person, because I represent the company at all times, whether I like it or not. So I understand that they might have a similar standard, but it
but
to
it's
me it
not being
wasn't an offensive term or anything like that. It was just like, here's what I'm seeing, here's what I'm viewing. She wasn't being offensive to everyone. We're not trying to be.
Yeah. No, I mean, no, and I mean, yeah. So no, it's definitely a double standard. I mean, because essentially, considering how Disney has employed like, pretty much all the big names in Hollywood right now, most of them are on the left or, liberals that have made like the Nazi Holocaust comparisons, at least in the last 4 years on social media. But,
Oh yeah, they've
but
hit Donald Trump with every name in the book. I mean,
well, right. And even Pedro Pascal, when he tweeted out that post, that was in 2018. So that would have been roughly right around the time he got hired or before he got hired to, shoot the Mandalorian here. So yeah, it's so the fact that, all these other celebrities can compare, uh, can make comparisons about Nazis and Holocaust, as long as it fits a certain narrative, they'll be fine here.
right.
But I mean, and going on, like, or speaking to that Instagram story post or whatever it was that she tweeted out. I mean, here's the thing. I understand that, and the main criticism about that is that she's comparing being a Republican to being a Jew in Nazi Germany. If that was
that's
like
painting with a very broad stroke, because I don't think she was saying that at all.
I don't just if I took that just right on its face, I don't see that here. I see that it's more about like the philosophy that led up to that here. Right. Not saying that this is like, like Nazi
We're not
Germany.
internment camps. We're not dying. No.
Correct.
No, that's
so. I mean, if that's what she was implying, I'm like, okay, yeah, that's
too far. Yeah, but I wasn't getting that either.
I wasn't either. I mean, I really find this amusing, seeing how Don Cheadle, like I think earlier this week, just came out and said that cancel culture doesn't exist. Your own company that you work for just essentially canceled somebody due to cancel culture. Like they fired somebody due to the cancel culture. And
so what was the context of that? What was he even saying? Because obviously it does. Like
I don't remember the exact context. To be honest, I didn't actually read the article. I just remember that the quote was that he said earlier this week that cancel culture doesn't exist. So, but
weird.
I mean,
weird.
Yeah, but I mean, here's the thing: the hypocrisy on Disney's side reaches all-time new heights.
Yeah.
Because if Disney apparently is saying that the straw that broke the camel's back on Gina Carano is the fact that she compared it was the Holocaust and Nazi Germany post. Disney, you work with a Chinese province for the live action movie Mulan that is putting Uyghur Muslims in concentration camps right now. They are sterilizing the women as we speak. And you even thank them in the credits for, being able to work with them, working with Mulan. You have no standard to stand on. Like you have no high horse to look down upon here at all. Like,
and even you look at James Gunn and Brie Larson,
right. Both
thing. So
right. I mean, the fact that they fired James Gunn, rehired him for, tweets that were like 10 plus years old about pedophilia or making jokes about pedophilia. Yeah. They were willing to look past that. And then Brie Larson, has said so many controversial stuff and rubbed so many people the wrong way. And the fact that she still has a job, even though like she's quote unquote said things that offended, people, it's only certain people on a certain political aisle that they're okay with offending. It's like,
it's not fair is what it is. Like you're going to call a spade, like Cool. Fire Gina Carano, but you should also fire Pedro Pascal and Brie Larson and Don Cheadle and XYZ who said these horrible things.
If you are applying this standard, absolutely. And I find it really interesting, and I don't understand like what is going on, seeing how if they were trying to fire ever since November, why were they going to give her own show in Rangers of the New Republic here, you know?
Right. Or at least have her have a part in it, because now obviously they're probably still going to go forward with the project, but just have someone else in there.
Well, yeah, because we still don't know if she's going to get recast or if she's just completely.
I doubt it. I think they're going to write her out.
I personally think so too. I think that would probably be the smartest move, just given the fact that what they did. But yeah, I mean, it's just crazy, man. I mean, it's I mean, and
here's
all the
celebrities that are going to advocate for her, like they did with James Gunn. All the Guardians did it,
right?
I
mean, the woke mob and the cancel culture mob. I don't know if you've heard or not, but they're trying to go after Chris Pratt for just based on assumptions, essentially here.
Well, that he's a Christian.
Well, not that he's a Christian, but they think that because he is a Christian or he actually likes America, that he's conservative, he's a Trump supporter and stuff, and so he's got to go. Yeah, it's wild, man. And I mean, here's the thing. I mean, I don't like talking about this political stuff in our entertainment, but it's come to our entertainment. So
I know that's what's sad.
And ultimately, I think, we as the audience have to choose is like, hey, do we want our entertainment to be so infused with, all this political, garbage, like it's becoming more and more politicized and whatever? Or are we actually going to say, yeah, no, we actually want our entertainment as an escape from all that stuff. We actually want to have stuff that, we can enjoy no matter what side of the political aisle you're on, or, being able to hire people from all sorts of different walks of life. I mean, I get that, essentially Hollywood is the liberal leftist club here and it's kind of always been that way for the most part, but my gosh, I mean, it's like, at least like make an attempt to like reach across the aisle or be bipartisan for the most part. But
yeah,
apparently that's too much to ask for these days.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about some good news. Okay. The Sonic sequel gets a title and a logo, which I love the logo. It's no information other than that, so we'll throw that on the screen. But basically it's the Sonic 2 game logo with some extra flair. You get in the C in Sonic, you kind of have like a cutout of Sonic's hair, and then the 2 at the end of it, it's yellow. The rest of the logo is blue, but the 2's yellow and has the tails kind of from Tails at the end too.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I love that they're just calling it Sonic the Hedgehog 2, just like the game. I think that's great.
I mean, yeah, why not? I mean, still haven't seen the first movie. I'm waiting for it to like come to like a streaming service.
Yeah, I'm surprised it hasn't already, honestly. I mean, it's a great movie. I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. It was fun. All right, E3 is coming back, but kind
of. Basically, what's going to be going on for E3 this year is it will be a digital event. It'll be across 3 days, June 15th through June 17th. Basically, the idea is they're going to be featuring like multiple 2-hour keynote streams from different developers and publishers here. So it's essentially, I mean, there's not going to be that big. Essentially, it's just going to be like a bunch of Nintendo Directs from people other than Nintendo, from what it sounds like. I mean, I'm skeptical about the future of E3. I mean, because E3 has kind of shown that it's kind of a little bit of an antiquated model for the most part.
I don't think it'll be around anymore.
I think unless like they change something up majorly, it's on its last legs. But because I mean, I was reading an article about E3 coming back this year, and there may be a good handful of like, big name companies that might just sit out just because apparently E3, like to, get your company there, rent out spaces or have like a spot in like, the conferences and the presentations and all that stuff. We're talking like a 6-figure entry fee, basically.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
So, I mean, for something like that ridiculous in terms of like price, it's like, yeah, no wonder video game companies are going to opt to like, do their own, get their messaging out on their own terms, especially considering how, in the wake of social media, that's even so much easier to do these days. But, that being said, I do want E3 to succeed. Just because last year we didn't have E3 and, we had a couple of things that tried to kind of replace it. Like IGN did their summer gaming and like we had a couple of other people try to fill in that void, but I just felt like it was just weak in all honesty. And it just did not like pack the same punch that E3 even brings on its worst years here. So,
right.
So,
yeah, I mean, I'd rather just have companies did their own this individually, and I think that's what it's going to be eventually. But even look at Nintendo right now. Like, we haven't really had a direct in a long time. Like,
it's been a while, and that's kind of, I mean, it's a double-edged sword. But I mean, it's like if if there was an E3 last year, and Nintendo was basically said like, okay, we actually have to show some stuff now instead of like and like actually kind of show what the future of our projects are working on. Like they didn't have that, pressure to like actually go out and deliver something here. So, but at the same time, you'll have like some things like Cyberpunk that will show out demos that aren't real, that are nowhere near to like, what to expect from the game and stuff like that.
right.
And, you have people who feel pressure to show things. And so they show something that
isn't real,
isn't indicative of the final product. So,
right. Well, speaking of Cyberpunk,
look at that segue.
Projekt Red gets Cyberpunked.
Yeah.
So yeah, I heard about a little bit about this, about some hackers getting their way a little bit, but what happened with this?
So, CD Projekt Red earlier, I guess it would be like, I want to say last Monday, suffered a cyber attack from hackers. And basically when they got in, the hackers stole a bunch of internal documents, but most importantly, the source code for Cyberpunk 2077, The Witcher 3, and the Gwent, the digital Gwent card game that they released a couple years back. And so hackers left a public ransom note giving CD Projekt Red 48 hours to respond to the hackers, or the source code will be sold on the dark web and the internal documents will be leaked to news outlets. CD Projekt Red refused to negotiate and stated that the hackers did not get any of personal player information. Hopefully that's true.
Hopefully.
And since then, the source codes have been, according to reports, sold on an auction on the dark web. So, yeah. So I get people are pissed about Cyberpunk and at CD Projekt Red. I mean, that is completely justified, for sure. But this is not how you make a situation better. If they are trying to like actually do right by you by, rolling out patches, rolling out, all these hot fixes, actually, giving at least a version of Cyberpunk that is actually playable, they're now spending more time focusing on this as opposed to actually improving the game.
Right. So just make it better, guys.
Yeah.
That's all we need.
I mean, no, it's true. But I mean, this isn't
necessarily a good look for you getting a better game with this company. Like, they're not going to go out of their way to be like, oh yeah, we got hacked. We got to make our games better, guys. Like, that's not how things work.
No, it absolutely is not. And I mean, it's just the fact that, these guys think that, you know, they're doing something good supposedly. It's like, no, if you were really doing something good, you wouldn't be selling, source code on the dark web here to make a profit. Like supposedly somebody paid like $7 million for that, for all three
Oh,
source
snap.
codes.
That's a good little
So
piece of the pie
yeah,
there.
so because these hackers are, I guess, trying to say that they are, trying to be like the white knights, or the guys who are holding like people like CD Projekt Red accountable. It's like, no, you guys literally profiteered off of stealing essentially here.
Yeah.
And you know, for all the talk that you can and all the crap you can give CD Projekt Red right now, you can at least credit them for at least trying to make things right. Like, they are refunding people. They are trying to make the game better. They are going to be rolling out free DLC for people. So, you know, you you don't go and when somebody is trying to like be better and like, do right by you, say, yeah, we don't forgive you. Also, we're going to take your stuff.
Yeah. People, man. Well,
Some people's kids.
some people's kids. The new DualSense for PS5 has drift, just similar to the Nintendo Joy-Con, is what it seems like. But
Yeah.
what's with these new controllers and drift? Like, I don't remember drift in my N64 controller. Do you?
I mean, like, unless the controller itself was going bad or something like that, but that would be
Right.
like maybe years and years and years down the line or something like that. But basically, yeah. So um but apparently, like, this whole Joy-Con drift, like, it's starting to circulate around the internet to the point where the the law firm that is currently taking legal action against Nintendo for its Joy-Con drift is now looking into the matter on seeing if they have a case against Sony potentially. So, which I know we haven't really talked too much about the whole Joy-Con drift issue, really all that much, in all honesty, just because I feel like there's really not much to be said. But I mean, hopefully, if this is true, hopefully Sony repairs it for free like Nintendo does,
Yeah.
which would be good. And I can somewhat understand the legal case against Nintendo on this. It's a kind of like a mass problem that a lot of people seem to be experiencing with their Joy Cons. However, I do think Nintendo's willingness to fix the Joy Cons for free does undercut the legal basis for the suit. I mean, they're going out and they're fixing the problem. I mean, yeah, sure, you're without your Joy Cons for like a couple of weeks, maybe a month or so, but at least they're making amends in one way or another. So
Yeah, I can still see why people are pissed off enough to do something about it, though. Like, let's say you have like a big party or something, get people over, you bought some new Joy-Cons and they all have drift. It's like, well, what do we do now? Like, what a freaking waste, They should work out of the box, but
no,
I don't know.
and I completely agree. I mean, it seems like this could have been just like maybe like a design oversight to where, after a couple of years, certain components of the Joy-Con wear down and then the drift happens. Like, I think that's what somebody explained it to me that way here.
Yeah.
Or I've heard that how that's the case per se. And so
Yeah.
so it could have just been like a longevity factor that Nintendo didn't quite know about. But I mean, yeah, I mean, it obviously, like, if they're making the Joy-Cons the same way now that they know that this is an issue that pops up, that's definitely an issue for sure. But
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Well, that's it for our nerd news. We're going to head into our roundtable review. Dorian, take it away.
So we're going to be talking about WandaVision episode 6. Full spoilers ahead.
All the spoilers.
All the spoilers. So let's get into it.
Yeah.
We basically in this episode skip the 90s.
The beginning part, yeah. I think they were trying to go for like a late 90s, early 2000s vibe with the Malcolm in the Middle kind of theme song.
Right.
You would never know that outside of that though. Like the episode to me seemed it's modern day. Like it could be 2010, 2020, whatever. Like there's not a huge difference between the two, but
I mean, I definitely got the Malcolm in the Middle vibes just because, like, a lot of
the camera. Yeah, there was a couple of scenes like that, but
the camera coming from the kids' perspective, just like Malcolm in the Middle and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely felt like by and large it was very early 2000s because I've been watching a lot of Fresh Prince lately, and I'm kind of bummed that we did skip the 90s because I wanted some Fresh Prince of Bel-Air homage or something, some Family Matters thrown in there. I mean, you did kind of get a little bit of that Full House vibe from the last episode.
But even that started in 86, so
did that start in 86?
Yeah.
I thought that was like late 80s, like at the earliest.
86.
Oh wow, okay. Fair enough. Yeah. But yeah, so that being said, I still felt like Malcolm in the Middle was a good format that worked for this episode, especially considering how the boys play a bigger factor in terms of like the story and the development of this episode here.
Yeah, the boys actually end up both manifesting their different powers, which I knew was going to happen basically as soon as the episode started, where Billy was wearing something very reminiscent of his Marvel Comics counterpart, Wiccan. And so he had like the headband, the red cape. You're like, oh, okay.
Oh,
yeah. So it was interesting to see kind of them get their powers, and then see stuff with Pietro and Wanda kind of happen, which we didn't really get too much more than we already had with Pietro, other than he knows about life outside the Hex. That's kind of something we pick up on, and that he knows that Wanda's controlling everyone.
Right. But even Wanda seems to be as confused as we are about like Pietro's reemergence here for the most part, because
there was that one scene where it flashed really quick and he was dead too, just like the Vision kind of thing.
Yeah,
and so I was confused by that. I was like, whoa. So
he had the bullet holes and all that.
Yeah. So why? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, well, because I mean, she even said things like, why do you look different? Where's your accent here? And
he's like, where's your accent?
Yeah, exactly. And
kind of a meta call.
But definitely, I mean, they did talk about like their parents, like I think at least once or twice, in this episode. So that may open the door to a Magneto appearance. We will see. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, but one of the interesting parts about her conversation with Pietro is Wanda doesn't seem to fully understand how her powers got to this level. They are I mean, she's aware of like what is going on and what is happening for the most part, but in terms of like how she got there, she's not entirely sure.
Right.
In terms of how this whole thing started per se, and like blah blah blah. So who knows? Like there could be somebody behind the scenes like pulling the strings here potentially.
Yeah. Well, and essentially this episode is Vision's quest to find out what is actually going on. We get little nods here and there, like what was the street name that the kids weren't supposed to go past?
Ellis, I want to say Ellis.
And so Vision ends up seeing the Ellis Street as he's trying to figure out what's going on, and ends up leaving the Hex and trying to warn people or try to get help for Wanda and for the people inside.
Yeah.
But it seems like Vision cannot exist outside the Hex. So we got some answers there, at least with, can all this make it through there, which obviously Vision's not going to. Hopefully the boys do. That'd be cool. But interesting.
Yeah. Well, and like even before he got out to outside of the Hex, he's going to the outskirts of town where it's kind of very video game like, in my opinion,
Yeah,
where
it's
like
like a glitch going on. Like, it's like the
right,
Matrix almost.
yeah, like somebody sped run and like clipped through a wall and got to an area where he wasn't supposed to be, and so all the NPCs aren't actually like functioning or acting like they should be. Like, you got people who are just kind of doing like loops of like the same action. That lady trying to hang that ghost on the string decoration. You
Yeah.
had just a bunch of people just standing in place, just staring off into the distance.
One of them was, like,
And
crying. I think that was
right,
the one hanging the
the,
ghost thing up that
right,
couldn't hear. She
exactly.
kept
Yeah.
freezing and going back, freezing, going back.
Yep.
Um,
Exactly.
yeah, I'm
But
interested to see how the whole hex thing shakes up because basically, Billy's powers manifest at the end. Tommy's do kind of like midway through the episode where he's speeding around with his uncle,
yeah,
and then speeds around by himself. But Billy can hear his dad kind of crying for help, and then Wanda goes kind of berserk mode and extends the hex, sucking in people like Darcy. And then we got, I don't know, did Monica Rambeau and
no,
Jimmy
they got out.
they got out?
They
Okay.
yeah,
So, and then we heard something interesting about Monica's DNA. Basically, like, kind of her DNA and her cells have been rewritten every time she's gone in and out. So I'm guessing she's going to go in for a third time, and maybe this is what leads to her becoming Photon or the next Captain Marvel.
right, yeah. And then another interesting thing that I feel like has got to lead to something. She's talking about going back into the hex, and she has a friend that's going to help her do that.
Yeah, that was weird to me too. I was like,
Very curious to see who her friend is to get her inside the hex. Like,
if you had to guess, who would it be, you think?
oh man, so how insane would it be if it's like a pre Fantastic Four Reed Richards?
Yeah, yeah, that'd be cool.
That'd be very cool. But I could definitely see Doctor Strange making an appearance before this is all said and done, just because the rumor is that this is leading it, or this is setting up Multiverse of Madness. So
Mhm. Yeah, no, I think both of those are great.
Yeah, I mean, I would have said Tony Stark, but he's kind of unavailable.
Right,
So
yeah, right now.
yeah,
Yeah, so, I really liked, there's different aspects of this episode I really liked. It wasn't the best episode. I'll be there. It's somewhere in the middle. It wasn't bad, wasn't great.
I'm in the middle.
Yeah, it furthers the plot for like the final 2 episodes, the kind of the wrap up of the season coming, episode 7 coming next week and the following 8. So, I liked how all their costumes paid homage to their Marvel Comics characters.
Yeah.
I am really interested. I'm even more interested now. Okay, so who is this Pietro? Is he actually dead, or like was he sent in by someone, maybe the Avengers, I don't know, to like help out? Or I mean, he said that you called, so I answered, basically.
Right.
So I'm interested if that was from like a different universe, because obviously, maybe he did have a sister Wanda in the X-Men Apocalypse movie. She was younger, but still around. And so I'm wondering maybe if he's like, well, this is kind of a weird thing, but whatever. So yeah, we'll see what happens with Pietro, but I'm really interested in that still, because obviously that's going to be our tie to the X-Men universe. If we get any more than that, if we don't get any more than that, it'd honestly be a shame. But yeah, I'm interested to see what happens in the conclusion of this series. So
yeah, no, I mean, if they really do not do anything with the whole X-Men tie-in on this one, I mean, yeah, that would definitely be a waste, and it would probably would leave us with more questions than answers. But I mean, I feel like just seeing how like this is such a big can of worms to open up on people who know Marvel and the X-Men and the whole thing with the separate movie universes and all that it has to be leading to something here.
yeah.
Like because I mean, otherwise, then why not just bring back Aaron Taylor Johnson and just do that here?
I mean, they show him earlier in the episode with the Ultron flashback. They didn't have to show that
with the Ultron flashback, but I think that was more or less just to kind of show that there is a difference between this Quicksilver and that Quicksilver here, and
right.
and even the fact that they reference the fact that he looks different here. So yeah. I mean, yeah. So overall, I think this is a solid episode. I'm kind of in the same boat as you are. I don't think it reached the heights that it did like last week's episode, like that big, shock of seeing Peter Evans. Yeah. But it's keeping the momentum going for these last 3 episodes. I'm still interested to see how this all shakes out. But man, that's all I got. So,
all right. Yeah.
So next up, we are going to be talking about a manga series. You've still been on that manga kick.
Yep.
It's Mashle. So Mashle, Magic, and Muscles. Now, I haven't read this, but I will say, just based on that title, I'm already sold.
Yeah. So yeah,
go ahead and tell us about it.
So this is a story of a boy who lives in a world full of magic. Basically, if you don't have magic, you're basically ostracized from society and or killed.
Wow, that's pretty metal.
Yeah, it's pretty dark. But he lives in a world full of magic, yet he has none. So his adopted father kind of shields him. He kind of hides him from society. And as this is going, he gets him to train his body instead. Like he's lifting weights, he's doing calisthenics, he's working on his agility, and he's working on this since he was a baby. Because basically, they have these lines on their faces.
Yeah,
you can kind of tell in the picture I put up, but it's kind of hard to tell. And the lines have to do with your magical prowess, like how much power do you actually have. And so most people have a single line, some people have double lines, and then there's the rare people that have the 3 lines. But basically,
bolts?
No, it's like a line.
Lightning bolts?
Yeah, I mean, kind of similar. I mean, that's a whole different thing because that's a curse mark. But anyway, yeah. Sure. So Mashle is born with no markings, and so his dad kind of tries to shield him, but Mashle kind of grows up and basically, so I'm not going to ruin the plot, but some stuff happens, and in order to change the way society views the non-magic folk, Mashle wants to become one of the most powerful wizards in existence, which they're called the Divine Visionaries, and they kind of make the decisions in the magic world from a political standpoint because they're the most powerful. And if you want to look at Mashle himself, he's basically Saitama from One Punch Man
with hair, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, they call him Mushroom Head because he's got like a bowl cut. Yeah. He's very deadpan. He's obsessed with cream puffs, and he uses his muscles to make it look like he has magic. So, he's basically has superpowers because he's trained so hard, very similar to Saitama from One Punch Man. Mm-hmm. But like everyone's so used to people having powers that they don't really second guess it until later on in the series. But like, for instance, there's like this one thing that they have to do once he gets in, to be in the school, and the scene in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone where like up to the broom, like they're standing next to their broom, and Harry's like shoots up really quick. So everyone's doing that, and he stomps the ground, and it flies into his hand, and people are like, "Oh my gosh, he's so crazy, he's so powerful," because it happened really quick. And then they have to fly, and he's like, "I can't fly," like. So he throws the broom and then jumps on it, like because he's super fast, and then rides the momentum on the broom to make it look like he's flying it.
That's great. That's just fantastic.
Yeah, and so it's very funny. It's a very funny series, but he also has the Naruto power where all his enemies become his friends. So
power friendship, basically.
Yeah, he'll be fighting someone and be like, "Hey, so basically like we can still be friends," type of thing, and. He has very little social awareness, but when stuff hits the fan, he's definitely ready to fight. So the series takes place at Easton Academy, which is very reminiscent of Hogwarts. You got Wahlberg, which I love that they named the head wizard of the place Wahlberg because of Mark Wahlberg, but he's the Dumbledore figure. He's like the headmaster. And then you have the different houses, and I can't remember all three, but Mashle's part of the Alder house or Adler house. I think it's Alder. I can't remember. But theirs is like a bird. They have like a bird insignia. And then there's Orca, and then I can't remember. The other one starts with an L, but I can't remember it right now. Anyway, then the supporting cast, there's Lance Crown. He has his gravity magic, which is pretty cool. He's like kind of, I don't know. I always say there's like always like the Sasuke of the group, but he's very powerful. He's like the most powerful friend kind of that Mashle has. Mashle's OP, but
gotcha.
And every character has like a weird bent from like another manga or anime, where like his is like he's very much loves his sister, and he constantly brings up his sister, kind of like, and you've seen that as like a trope in other manga or anime series where they're like, I'm doing this for my sister, like, or what, some sibling,
and so have like 1,000 flashbacks about it too, and stuff like that. Yeah.
And so, and he has his motivation is his sister has like this disease where she's losing her powers slowly, and once that happens, she'll be driven out of society because she'll have no magic. So very similar to Mashle, I guess, except Mashle doesn't have any power. Lance is trying to become a divine visionary so he can change that role and have his sister live a normal life just without magic. And then you got Lemon, who's the typical girl. She's in love with Mashle. She thinks him great. She's so over the top that she's like, she thinks they're already married, basically.
One of those.
And then you got Dot, and he's the one that has too much energy. He's over the top, and he's always like he always refers to Mashle as his rival.
A rival in an anime manga series?
I know, right? But they're friends, so it's like, you got the Vegeta Goku dynamic
too. What?
Yeah,
crazy.
You got Finn Ames, who's the best friend, very loyal. He's kind of like the very he's not the prude, but basically very reserved, unsure of himself. And Mashle and the crew is trying to help him to kind of come out of that. And then you got Rain, who's Finn's older brother. He's House Adler's prefect. He's the leader of the house or the dorm, and he's pretty OP. I don't want to ruin it for everyone, but he's pretty OP.
Gotcha.
And so I would say there's 49 chapters right now. I'm caught up. If you're a fan of One Punch Man, this series is for you. Like 100%. It's super similar. It's just basically One Punch Man crossed over with Harry Potter, and you get Mashle, Magic and Muscles.
Real missed opportunity there for you not to quote Prism Mike here. No, not like Harry Potter. But,
the Dementors were everywhere. Which I just watched the first 2 Harry Potter movies yesterday, so we'd had like a little marathon since it's like 10 degrees outside right now. Anyway, there's a good balance of action and comedy in this, and definitely excited to read this every single week. And I'm excited for a future anime, which is all but on the way. So
that's fair. Yeah. No, I mean,
I texted Tim Seabrecht. I was like, you got to read this. And honestly, I was going to text you too, but I know this isn't kind of your thing, but it might be. You might have to check it out.
No, I definitely think I will. I mean, I still need to check out Kaiju number 8 just because, I mean, that looks definitely up my alley too.
I'd say get the Viz app or the Shonen Jump. They're the same app basically. It's
$2.
It's $2 a month for all their whole cat library. Like, I'm talking, if you want to go back and read Bleach, you could read every single issue of Bleach. If you want to read Dragon Ball,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going on and on. Like, they have all their stuff except for Full Metal Alchemist for whatever reason. I don't get that. They don't have Full Metal Alchemist. So
yeah, I mean, $2 a month, that's pretty reasonable.
Oh, dude, Jujutsu Kaisen, I've read, like, if I was adding it up, because Mashle hasn't come out in English with the volumes, like the actual like paperback book. So you'll have to read it digitally. I think that comes out in March, but basically they release it online, and if you're caught up, it's free. So like once you get caught up, Dorian, if you're like, I'm just going to stick to these ones, you can drop it. The most recent 4 issues are always free, I think is what it is. Or maybe it's like the first 3. I don't remember.
Kind of like how Hulu used to run back in the day when they had like their free model where you could where you could watch like the most recent episodes for free, but the back catalog you had to pay for here.
Right, exactly. So I would say you should definitely check this out. It's worth, especially with like kaiju, and then you got Jujutsu Kaisen, you've got Chainsaw Man on there, which I'll be talking about Chainsaw Man later. I'm not caught up on that yet, but
you had me at Chainsaw Man.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in another day. And then right now I'm reading and I'm trying to get caught up on Berserk, which that's not on the app because it's a different company. I think I can't remember what it's called, but it's not shonen. But I got Berserk. I got some Full Metal Alchemist coming, and so I'll be doing reviews on that on our channel / Instagram in the near future. But yeah, I'll once we're caught up on this might be good for little discussions on where the current episodes are going, not just giving people like resources, but actually talking about issues and episodes. So
yeah, no, for sure.
All right, well, that's all I got. What about you, Dorian?
I got nothing further to add.
All right, well, thank you guys for listening. We greatly appreciate it. Check us out on our social media. Make sure you leave a review, leave a like, subscribe. We're on all different podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever podcasts are. That's where we are as well. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, guys. We're going to be doing stuff over there. Check us out on Instagram. All those good things. Have an awesome week. Remember, everyone's learned about something.